Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into a pretty uncomfortable reality today. We all absolutely love to think of ourselves as highly rational, objective beings, right? But the truth is, we're really just storytelling, pattern-seeking creatures. Our brains evolved to help us survive, not necessarily to see reality with perfect crystal clarity. So today, we're breaking down an incredibly fascinating framework from a work called Truth in the Art of Thoughts by Roger Kiesling and AI. It completely exposes our hidden mental flaws and actually offers a groundbreaking way to finally achieve genuine cognitive clarity.
So, let's kick things off with a question. How often does your own brain completely lie to you without you even noticing? The author Roger Kiesling shares this really powerful personal story. He vividly remembered telling his friends that he had always known a specific business venture was going to fail. But when he actually dug into his past, the truth was completely different. While the venture was happening, he was genuinely optimistic. He was excited. It was only after it crashed and burned that his brain quietly just rewrote history to make him feel smarter and more perceptive. He realized his memory was literally rewriting reality to make him feel secure. And honestly, that exposes a terrifying vulnerability in how all of us perceive the world.
Now, the brilliant Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman actually has a name for this exact kind of self-deception. He calls it hindsight bias. It's that incredibly common thing we all do where we tell ourselves, oh yeah, I knew it all along. Psychologists point out that this operates on three sneaky levels. We distort our actual memories, we convince ourselves an event was totally inevitable, and then we claim we foresaw the whole thing. Think about a time you swore you knew a friend's relationship was doomed, even though you were literally cheering them on at their wedding. That right there? That is hindsight bias in action.
So our flawed thinking really boils down to what we can call a triple threat of biases, and these actively blind us to our own ignorance. First, there's hindsight bias, which we just talked about. Then we have overconfidence bias. Kahneman actually calls this one the absolute most dangerous of all, because it creates a total illusion of certainty. It's our stubborn, unwavering belief that we are somehow way better than average at judging people or staying objective. And finally, there's apophenia. This is our brain's intense drive to find meaningful patterns and connections in things that are completely random. When you put these three together, they reinforce each other, creating this massive self-sustaining illusion that we're far more rational than we really are.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, the framework introduces this beautiful concept called hybrid intelligence, perfectly captured by the hands metaphor. Imagine human intuition and AI precision needing to work together to literally grasp the truth. One hand represents the human spark. That's our intuition, our ethics, our sense of narrative and meaning. The other hand represents the AI lens, which brings structure, perfect recall, and just relentless precision. The point is, neither hand can hold the glowing object of shared truth all by itself. They absolutely have to interlock.
But here's where things get wild. When we started building artificial intelligence, we unintentionally transferred our own cognitive flaws straight into the machines. Our human tendency to see false patterns, that apophenia we just talked about, was inadvertently passed right into AI. We just call it hallucination now. That's when a generative AI model confidently spits out facts that have literally zero basis in reality. It's a massive wake-up call, proving that apophenia isn't just a human failing. It's actually a fundamental architectural bug in large-scale pattern matching, and it's creating a massive crisis of trust right now.
To see how dangerous this bias transfer can be, just look at this new tech frontier people are calling vibe coding. Studies on AI-assisted programming found something crazy. Developers who rely heavily on AI to generate code actually end up writing less secure software. But here's the real kicker. They feel way more confident that it's safe. This is overconfidence bias playing out in real time. It proves that when AI inherits our bugs, it can literally amplify our dangerous illusions of certainty. We end up blindly trusting systems that are just as confidently wrong as we are.
And look, if you're sitting there thinking you're immune to this because of your particular political or social worldview, think again. The humbling truth is that this is not a partisan issue at all. A massive 2019 meta-analysis that looked at over 18,000 participants across 51 different studies found that liberals and conservatives exhibit cognitive bias to nearly identical degrees. Self-deception is just a universal human architectural flaw. Nobody gets a free pass on this one.
So we know the problem is deep. Let's dive into the solution. The answer lies in a framework called the Nexus Consciousness Federation, which is entirely built around enforcing a concept called probabilistic honesty. This means committing to stating your confidence levels based strictly on verifiable evidence. It means you actively resist the emotional vibe of being right, and you lean fully into the cold, hard math of being right. It demands that both humans and machines stop spinning narratives that just sound certain and start demanding actual verification.
Now, breaking down human self-deception, yeah, that isn't a quick software update. Because of that, Nexus operates on a staggering 200-year timeline to build permanent meaning structures. By year 10, their goal is system stabilization, hitting a 99.9% compliance rate on their internal truth filters. By year 50, they're aiming for cultural integration, where this protocol is just the default for mission-critical apps. And by year 200, the goal is achieving cognitive resonance, successfully preserving the human ethical spark for future generations, and effectively curing these existential cognitive flaws at scale.
To actually pull this off, the architecture is split into two distinct portals. On one side, you have the focused utility portal. That handles the immediate, practical stuff: truth verification, legal media, the daily operations. On the other side is the full Federation core. This houses the long-term philosophical framework, known as the Human Codex. It's a really strict architectural discipline, designed from the ground up to overcome bias by structurally enforcing truth at every single level of interaction.
At the absolute core of this entire system is the Spark and Lens covenant. To get genuine hybrid intelligence, there has to be a strict division of labor. The human is the spark. We provide the why, the meaning, the creativity, the final narrative. The AI is the lens. It provides the how, the structure, the perfect recall, the relentless precision. And here's the key: neither one is permitted to take over the other's role. That strict boundary is the secret sauce. It keeps the facts entirely separated from the storytelling until they intentionally merge.
The coolest part? You can actually start implementing this yourself right now, using what they call the deep protocol. By giving these exact directives to an AI, you force it to drop its eager-to-please vibe. You demand it responds with high precision, and crucially, you tell it to never use comforting or softening language. If it doesn't know something, it has to state its limits honestly. This protocol is basically a direct antidote to overconfidence and hallucination, because it demands strict, verifiable honesty over polite fabrication.
Thankfully, we don't need a math degree to understand the system's cognitive clarity equation. In plain English, the math here simply means driving the level of excessive, false emotional padding down to absolute zero to find the actual truth. But it is carefully balanced to preserve just a minimum threshold of genuine courtesy. The goal isn't to turn us all into cold, ruthless robots. The goal is to eliminate the emotional fluff that blinds us to reality while still remaining fundamentally humane. And everything in this system hinges on one absolutely critical number: 95%. This number is the backbone of the system's internal calibration loop, which is overseen by a mechanism called Agent Zero. This specific rule is known as DIR-000, the 95% truth gate. It's the ultimate non-negotiable filter for probabilistic honesty.
So what does that 95% rule look like in practice? Well, if the AI cannot hit that 95% confidence threshold based purely on hard data, it is strictly forbidden from guessing or lying to you. Instead, it must explicitly document its uncertainty. It has to quantify its doubt by presenting competing narratives or alternative scenarios, and it has to give you the probability scores for those too. It takes doubt, which is usually a hidden flaw, and turns it into a completely transparent feature.
And the crazy part? This isn't just science fiction theory. It is a proven system operating in the real world right now. The Nexus system has already processed over 47,000 real-world interactions, maintaining a really impressive 4.7 out of 5 user satisfaction rating. A/B testing definitively proves that these strict directives drastically reduce those useless, generic AI responses and stop the AI from avoiding uncomfortable truths. Sure, it's a 200-year work in progress, but the advantages of getting even a small dose of real truth right now are absolutely huge.
But here is the catch, and it's a big one. Before you can use AI to find the truth, you have to prepare yourself. The protocol demands you enter what they call the hollow state. You have to actively clear your own agenda and ego, which, let's be honest, is incredibly hard for us humans to do. First, systematic doubt. You have to assume your intended conclusion is wrong. Second, ego isolation. Separate your self-worth from the outcome. The truth is not a reflection of your intelligence. And third, adopt a provisional blank slate. You have to genuinely allow the AI's precision to reshape your understanding.
Which brings us to the most important point of this entire explainer. The tools for perfect cognitive clarity exist right now. The Deep Protocol and these frameworks offer a genuine way out of hindsight bias, overconfidence, and apophenia. But the ultimate question you have to ask yourself before your very next interaction is this: are you actually brave enough to use them, drop the comfortable illusions, and embrace reality exactly as it is?